Savage. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to the HHH Racing Podcast, episode 413 of Picks and Ponies. Thank you very much for joining us on what is to be a very special show. We have a two-part show tonight. The first part, we can't wait to bring this gentleman on once again. We're going to have Belmont Stakes winning jockey Junior Alvarado on in just a few minutes here live to talk about Sovereignty, his ride in the Belmont, and a few other things. Thank you very much for joining us. And then after that, we're going to be previewing Haskell Preview Day, big day at Monmouth this Saturday. We'll discuss their stake races and their late pick 5. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, hit the notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button below the video player. Of course, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Fantastic tip sheet. We have people signing up every day. Now is a great time to do that with Saratoga and Del Mar right around the corner. Look below the video player in the description on our YouTube channel regarding the Power Picks tip sheet. It's very profitable and very inexpensive. You can find out more on our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. All right, let me go ahead. Let's start right away, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a lot to do, a lot to talk about. Again, it's an incredible honor to have our guest. Before we bring our guest on, and he'll be on screen literally in about 1 minute, let me bring on a gentleman from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special, Mr. Paul Halloran. Paul, how you doing tonight?
Excellent.
Wonderful. Good to have you. Just let everyone know, Pete Visco will be on halfway through the show after we have our interview. So fans of Pete's, don't worry, he will be on a little bit later. Paul, let's just get right to the chase here. We've got a really special guest. He's been with us before. I've known him actually a long time, and I think I told him this last time he was on. But, of course, I only live about 20 minutes away from Arlington Park, and I saw this gentleman cut his teeth and win a gazillion races at the wonderful old Arlington Park, whether it be on the synthetic or the turf or even the dirt, even before the synthetic came in. This gentleman is having an unbelievable year, again, an unbelievable career, and I think it's time, Paul, to bring him on. He is the winning jockey of this year's Belmont Stakes and, of course, the Kentucky Derby, Mr. Junior Alvarado. Junior, how you doing tonight? Congratulations.
How are Paul? How are you guys? Thank you. Thank you for having me in your program, HHA Racing Podcast. You know, this has been an amazing five weeks run.
Unbelievable. Junior, I know that you feel like you're the star of the show, and you are, but on the bottom of the screen, we're going to see questions from people in the chat and other bits of information. Let me go ahead and turn off this banner, because I'm not sure if you're aware, Junior, unless he told you, but the gentleman on the top right there that you know very well, Paul Halloran, is a very humble gentleman. He's a great guy. But you know what, Junior? It's also his birthday. Happy birthday to Paul Halloran. Paul, how do you feel?
Happy birthday, Paul.
I wouldn't rather share it with any other people. I feel great. Thank you, Junior. It's the celebration started in Saratoga last Saturday, Junior.
Yes, it did.
Do you want to share your young age, Paul, or no?
62 today.
Very good. All right.
I only look 72.
Well, yeah, a lot of people had the over on that one, but they would be wrong. Paul is 62, so I wanted to just do a quick shout out. Happy birthday to Paul. Junior, thanks for joining us. I know your time is precious. Last time you were on, we were talking about Senior Buscador in the Saudi Cup. You've had one hell of a streak, my friend, in the last 2 years. Paul, go ahead and go take the first question regarding the Belmont and/or Sovereignty.
Yeah, Junior, let's start with, I think it was a conversation you and I had on Friday, and your impressions of Sovereignty as you visited him during the week, and just physically how he looked even since the Derby.
You know, Paul, like I say to everybody who asks me, like, you know, like, I'm not trying to fool myself or anyone, but I mean, he did look fantastic. And like, I remember when I walked to the paddock that day in the Kentucky Derby, and I look every horse, and you look to look every little thing where you can kind of see a little flaw there, like okay, maybe this is not gonna be a rival today or anything like that, and I got to look at my horse, and I felt that I didn't even have to look at any one horse. I was like, my horse is just. I mean, if he runs to what he looks right now, he's gonna win the Derby. Plus, I knew like he was training now like he has never trained before, and all that. And I think it was pretty much the same thing. Like I could believe it, like 2 days before the Belmont, he came out of the stall, and I was right there when they took him out. I mean, he looks just like magnificent, like big. He looked even stronger. I don't know how, because like I say, he looks picture perfect going into the Derby or and the Derby day, and yet somehow he find a way to look even better in the Belmont. He just like developing and blossoming right now, and I saw that and I thought like, wow, I mean, this horse is just like, I mean, I hope he's not foolishing me right now the way he looks and what I'm thinking he's about to do in the Belmont. And I mean, I'm very glad that he did respond to the way he was looking and training in the mornings.
Junior, I know this is a difficult question to ask, but there was a big deal, of course, made of Sovereignty skipping the Preakness. Uh, do you feel like those extra few weeks absolutely helped Sovereignty, or is it really too difficult to say what would have happened if he ran in the Preakness?
Howard, I think it's always going to be a question mark what the pregnancy would be like with him running. Like, I can't even answer that question, and I wouldn't even, you know, bother to think about it. I just think, the way that he run in the Belmont, it was the right thing to do for him, because I think if we would have had him making too much to do because we're running him in the Preakness, that we probably wouldn't put out that good of an effort that he did at the Belmont. Or maybe he would have. I don't know. Who knows? But like I say, that way that he run in the Belmont, I hope he can build more. He can bring that again in his next race, because if I get, not even me, if he get to put himself all the time from now on close to that pace like he did in the Belmont, this guy is going to be very, but very tough to beat, because I think the only advantage anyone can have is maybe being in a little slow pace and being away from me in the front. And if he gets to be that close from now on, he's just going to be a tough horse all year round.
Well, he ran great. Paul, just to let you know, and Junior, I do have the replay of the entire Belmont up, Paul. So when you feel it's appropriate, Paul, we'll let that run. He can walk through the race whenever you feel that's appropriate, Paul, during the
Yeah,
interview.
well, maybe we'll just go with this one. Junior, again, we talked Friday, and I asked you, were you going to try to be more forward in the race? And you said, I'm not going to try to do anything that he doesn't want to do. Yet, if we watch the start, and we talked about this on Sunday, he kind of just brought you more forward into the race, didn't he?
Yeah, it was all by himself. I broke, he broke sharp, and he took the bridle. I wasn't trying to do anything differently. Like I said, like he has teach me before that he doesn't want to be rushed the first part of the race. He wants to do what he wants to do. He wants to be where he want to be. And that's what I did, and like I said, coming into the first turn, one thing I wanted to do was save ground, and like I said, like by doing that, like he was putting himself up close to the pace, like he hasn't been that close before. And like I was just thinking like, ah, please God, I hope he's not fooling me. But like, I mean, he's just strongly like every 1.5 step he give, everybody's going to. And like I said, I'm full of horse right where I am right now. And I mean, I just couldn't wait until get him to the clear to for him to punch home. And like I said, I mean, I just think those 5 weeks might have given that extra sharpness to be a little up close to the pace, and and that's what I always say. That's what Mr. Mott is in the Hall of Fame, and he knows what to do, especially with those kind of horses. He have done it many, many, many times before with like over the years with good horses, and I mean, he did it again. He just brought an amazing horse into the Belmont where it made my job very easily, to be honest.
I want to ask Junior a question right here, Paul, because I think this was a very important part of the race. Junior, you were one off the rail, and the four decided to sort of gun up the inside here and take your rail spot. Were you worried that the rail was maybe not the best place to be after all the rain and the track was drying out? So was that my first question? Was that a plan to be a little bit off the rail? And secondly, you were so relaxed and confident when you're in between horses here. There was seemed to be zero concern whatsoever, and I'm assuming your plan was to follow uh, journalism on the outside all along. But talk about the rail and then your plan at this point of the race, Junior.
Yeah, I never want to be like, I think I already save a lot of ground in the first turn. So when
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming into past the 5 pole, I want to put myself when I have at least more than two options, or like I say, at least two options. So like
Sure.
putting myself in the third pad, I say I could follow Rodriguez a little bit. I could follow Crudo, or even if a journalism made the first move, I can move into the outside. If I go in the rail, I'll be committed to that. I figure like Luis Ice could go right next to me, and then I will have to just tuck behind Rodriguez. And I did not want that because I knew I had that. I felt like I was loaded with my horse. So I put myself in the third pad. Then, I felt Luis Ice making the move like past the half of my pole, but at the same time, I think right at that time my horse switched lead and he took to the big bread. Like then after that, he's kind of letting me know now, whenever you're ready. So like for me, that was like, oh, what a confidence. So I didn't even have to try to go outside or go in or try to go forward to make sure I hold my spot. I didn't have to do anything. Like I have that, the whole, confidence at that point. I just like, let me just keep between Crudo and between Rodriguez and then I'm looking at journalism and the outside at that time. It's like if journalism doesn't move when I want to move, I move forward and am I gonna push him a little bit to the outside right turning for home? I'll just wait and then swim to the outside when he moved and whenever he moved, I knew like I felt like I have that enough horse to make that move. So that's why I never was worried. We just 100% trusting my horse, trusting what I was feeling at that moment, and that's what I went with.
Paul, do you want to ask Junior a question at this point of the race? Because I'm sure you have a question or I have some questions. I'll just let it roll from here, Paul.
Yeah, again, Julian, we did talk about this. I did ask you if you ever had any doubt, because journalism does slip away by a few here, and you can tell the folks what you told me on Sunday. If you had ever had any doubt you were going to go by him again.
Yeah, no, I never thought he was gonna get away from me. Like when I got to follow him, I just feel like let me now get my horse into a rhythm, like start picking it up, letting him know we're about to go clear. And then when we turn completely for home and switch lip, I show him the clear so he go by. And like I say, I felt like I wasn't asking my horse 100%, and I still was into a length and a half behind journalism. So it's like, and he's just starting to accelerate right now. So I knew when I got to the bottom of my horse, he was gonna just kept going and yes, I never had worry about it at that point. I just couldn't wait until I unleash him.
Junior, can you go ahead and let me put this back on screen? There's very few people in the world that can understand this question and answer this question, but can you explain your feeling right here, Junior?
Well,
How does that
yes,
feel
just
right there?
if I think what went to my mind at that point is like I know a lot of people have like I have a lot of respect for journalism. I mean, what he did, he won the Preakness, he run in the Kentucky Derby, he run. I think there was the San Felipe before. Then now he came into the Belmont. So what he did was very incredible in very respect. I have to respect the connection. I have to respect Mike McCarthy. I think Umberto Rispoli an amazing job with the horse every single time to put him in the right spot. Even though in the Preakness it was a little tight position, he still managed to get there and win the race with him. It just takes an amazing horse to do that. So, but I was just extremely happy there, like because a lot of people thought like journalism, journalism, journalism. So I got to show that I think, in my mind, my horse is just was the best one more time. We did it in the Kentucky Derby, and we got to do it in the Belmont. So I give it a couple pounds and the neck, telling him, you did it again, and then I had to thank God for you know have him in that position where the whole world probably wanted to be, every jockey wanted to be probably in the same position where I was right there. And I just have to be thankful.
Junior, I mean, you rode such an unbelievable race. It was just absolutely textbook. There are some questions in the chat, Paul, that if you don't mind, I'd like to get to. One is
Sure.
a good question from Chris Walsh Jr. The question is, what's the status of the whip violation in the Derby? Notice in the Belmont there was only pats on the neck. You only had to give him pats. I saw that you were left. I watched carefully, Junior. It looked like you were left-handed. You gave him at the top of the stretch. It looked like you whipped him twice, and the rest of the time you just sort of, like very just whip taps and just keeping his mind on business. It was just a hand ride the rest of the way. That's all you really needed in the Belmont. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's always been. I don't even try to hit the horse, and even when like if you really pay attention and get to watch the pattern, when I hit the horse leaving left-handed, it's not really hitting. It's more like cutting his attention. I just
Mm-hmm.
go back and tap him. I'll call that like I just tap him because he doesn't need to get hit. He knows what he's supposed to do. I just want to make sure, hey, it's time to go. It's time to keep going. And some horses, they're animals. They're herd animals. So like I want to make sure when I go by a horse, like he doesn't stay together with him. I just like, hey, we gotta keep going and finish the job. Once he opens it up, that was it. Same thing like that was in the Derby. But was that about the penalization, they're still pending. I don't know how long it's gonna take the appealing process. We got the lawyer from the Jockeys Guild. Some of them have gone 2 weeks, 3 weeks, some other have gone years. So
Sure.
we're still in that
Well,
process. Yeah.
we're all big fans, Junior. And none of us blame you for the ridiculous whip violation issue. I don't want to get into that anymore, but we all completely understand. Paul, you've the next question, and then we'll talk about some topics other than the Belmont real quick.
Yeah, well, this came up at the press conference, Junior, and obviously you and I spoke about this at length for my book, which hopefully is going to be coming out sometime next year. But I just want you to reflect a little bit about, where you were in your career when Cody's wish came around, and more importantly, when he came around the second time. You had two go arounds on him, and how much that did for you, and just looking at what you've done since with Arthur's Ride, with this horse, I think we talked about it, but I'd like you to just share with our viewers. You were at a fairly low point in your career, right? And kind of having second thoughts about the type of horses you weren't getting to ride.
Yeah, Paul, like I said before, it's not a mystery for anyone. I remember, I was in the Saratoga meet the year before I even get to ride um Cody's Wish, and I even wanted to quit. I keep telling my agent, like, I think I have a plan to do. I'm gonna move with my wife and my kids to Chicago, Mike. I wasn't very happy, and like I had, like maybe a year, less than a year, like a big concussion where I was out for a couple months, 3 months probably. And I didn't, I think that was a big part of it. At that moment when I was thinking to quit, I didn't thought that had probably anything to do. And then I don't know if that really had anything to do. Probably not. Who knows? But it was, yeah, like you say, I was kind of like hitting, the bottom of the business. Like I was very sour, and I was riding horses and they would run good, and then the next time somebody else would ride it. So I wasn't feeling anything like didn't matter what I was doing. If I was doing it right, it just wasn't gonna work. The next time, I was just getting taken off. So I was like, well, for what reason do I want to try to ride a horse that if it doesn't win, it still run good? Yeah, I don't gonna get to ride it back. So moving on, I go to Guthrie in the winter, and I told my wife and I told my agent, listen, I'm gonna stay here in the winter. I mean, I'm gonna keep going, and everybody goes back to New York. I'm gonna stay here for the summer in Guthrie Park, and we'll see. I wanna relax a little bit more. New York is very tense. You have to be at the top of the top, and even though I feel like I could be in the top of the top, I'm not getting any of those opportunity to be in the top at all. So it was very hard decision. I decided to stay there then, and I was riding there, and I remember having this. I still have my contact with my agent. He helped me to stay with somebody there in Florida. His name was Tito, and he was. I was probably. I think I was leading jockey at a golf train, and then my agent said, "Listen, this is a horse in the Kentucky Derby day that is gonna run at Belmont, and we want you to go there to ride this horse, Cody's Wish." I remember I already rode him first time out, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll go ride it," because I remember telling Bill, if you need me to, if you're gonna send horses anywhere else, and you need a jockey, just keep in mind, I'll travel anywhere to go ride your horses. So I went and got in Cody's Wish, Kentucky Derby Day, and Belmont, and won very impressively with me a stake race there, and then I went back to golf train. Then I remembered, I told my agent, "Listen, whenever the horse needs to run, I would like to run." And that's when my agent called me, like I think it was July, and it's like, "Listen, I got a couple miles to ride for you the first 2 days. They're just a regular amount, but I want you to just come here and ride, and then you can go back to golf train." And I did row. I remember three horses opening day or second day and Saratoga, and I ended up winning with a long shot. Paid $100 and something, and went back to golf train. And I think I told my agent, "Listen, I think I want to go back. I think I don't know. I just something's telling me to go back." And then my agent said, "Yeah, it might be a good idea because then we have this horse Scottish Wish here, which Godolphin probably will want one jockey who will be riding here in the meet to get on the horse. So you already won on it." So then we made the decision. Then I went back to Gulfstream and working harder than ever. But I just think it was just Scottish Wiz this whole time. Like he was the one that brought me back there. I got to win. We beat Jackie's Warrior, a thing that I thought that was almost impossible to happen, and it did happen. And like I say, I mean, since then, like my career just once again picked up, picked up, picked up, and it went as high as has ever been. I just think that little angel Cody Dorman have a lot to do with my racing career, and of course Scottish Wish, both together grabbed me, and kept me going. And
Yeah.
like I said, in a place where I felt that I wasn't going anywhere, in a place that I thought I was already completely done. Like they showed me a new path, and they give me kind of like a new purpose again, and make me see my whole racing career and my whole sport, like make me see it like in a whole different perspective that I never got to see it before. And I think that was when everything kind of turned around my way. And like I say,
Paul,
since then, I just keep seeing just big things happening in my career. It's just unbelievable.
that's so
Almost
well
give
said.
me tears. Give me put tears in my eyes.
That's so well said, Junior. Paul, I think we have a little surprise for Junior, don't we? Here
We
it
have,
is.
we want to bring on someone who knows a little bit about Cody's Wish.
Look who's here.
Wow.
It's the Dormans. Hello, Kelly and Leslie. Thanks for joining the show. How you doing?
Wow. Kelly, Leslie, how are you? Oh my
You guys are on
God.
mute. Callie, you're on mute. Just let you know. Callie and Leslie, you guys are on mute.
There we go.
There you
There's a
go.
lot of times
How's that?
people would like Kelly to be on mute. This is not one of them.
No.
It's my IT guy or person.
Kelly and Leslie, what do you have to say to Junior after those unbelievable warm sentiments
Wow.
about your son and the horse?
I don't know. Everything I had in mind just kind of after Junior's little speech there, just kind of, wow. God bless you, Junior.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Everything happened since Derby, before then, since Cody's Wish, all that. I mean, it's God brought a perfect person to ride that horse, and he's rewarding you with all your success lately. And
He has.
outside of your family,
We lost the sound again from Callie for some reason there. Callie and
Yeah,
Leslie, we lost your sound. They can't hear us, Paul. Shoot. You want to text them, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, Junior. I'm
it's
not sure
like,
what
guys,
happened.
we can hear
You
you.
can't.
We can hear you.
Yeah, but you're not muted, so I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, we'll figure it out. It's too important not to get them on.
Right.
We'll figure it out. But Junior, you talked about. Go ahead and try again. Can you hear us? I don't know what's going on, Paul. Well, okay. Sorry, everyone. We are live here on YouTube with the Dormans. It's not something on their end, so greatly apologize. I'll tell you what, Paul. I'm going to take them off the screen. Tell them, see if they can fix that. We'll bring them back on. We'll bring them back on. But Junior, I mean, you said it so well. I know you didn't expect that to happen, but not only, of course, was Cody's Wish a great horse, but we're just also blessed to have an unbelievable family behind that horse, Junior.
Yeah, that he was like actually just how just Kelly Dorman just said it. It was something I wouldn't even imagine. I think God just put the right person and the right time that he needed it. He needed the horse needed him. I needed a horse like this, and we all needed each other at that time. And we got brought all three together, and we all did magnificent things all three together.
You want to try again there, Kelly and Leslie?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we're good.
Yes.
Go. We caught about half of what you were saying, Kelly, before you cut out. Go ahead. Oh, now it's not working again now. No. Okay. I'll tell you what.
We need Kylie around to fix
Yeah,
this.
we need one more time. We'll try one more time. Go ahead. No. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, Junior. It's live.
It was a good idea anyway.
I want to ask Junior one more question that people are asking in the chat regarding the Belmont, and then we'll let you go for the night, Junior. I know you got a busy days ahead of you. You and Umberto Rispoli sort of gave each other a hug. A lot of people talked about it. Incredible sportsmanship. If you tell me what prompted that, you don't have to tell us what was said. That's between you and Umberto. But I mean, that was such a wonderful moment of sportsmanship. Can you talk about how that happened, or who first offered the hug, or just that whole situation?
Yeah, like it's, I won the race. So, like it's hard for me, like everybody's feeling, when I get beat sometime, all I want to do is just, give gratitude to my horse and come back and whatever I need to do. So like, I was, I think Umberto was the one that took the initiative to come, to come toward me. And that was very, very, like, I was very happy he did that. And it takes a lot. You get beat by a horse and big race, you want to win. And, for him to stick around and come back and congratulate me, it gave me the opportunity for me to tell him thanks for doing this, and then, like I said, at the same time, I had the opportunity to congratulate the horse. There was nothing wrong in the feet. He run, like I say, Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. You have to applaud. You have to take your head off for what the horse did, because it's not even did run the three races. He did run three amazing races. None of them to be ashamed. They all three were amazing race. And like when he gave me the opportunity, I couldn't let that go. I had to make sure, I'll let them know that well done for him what he did too at the same time. And I had to thanks, give a whole respect for being a good sportsmanship at the moment.
That was amazing. Kelly and Leslie, I was just asking Junior about the hug that he gave Umberto Rispoli after the race.
Yeah.
Looks like you switched devices. Go ahead, Kelly and Leslie. You guys should be fine now, it looks like.
Yeah, we was actually doing this initially with Cody's iPad. He might be playing a little trick with it.
Yeah. But go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead and finish what you were saying before.
I don't know how much you heard, but I mean, we obviously was, emotional, especially hearing Junior talk right before we come on. I mean, I'll start back where I was. God bless you, Junior. I mean,
Thank you.
not only just from your recent success, but just ever since our paths has crossed and stuff. And there's probably nobody outside of your family that screams any harder for you guys, or you than us. And always will, no matter what horse you're on. And it's just been a blessing to, this whole thing, everything. I could go on and on, but it's just been incredible, and we're just so happy for everything you've had accomplished here in the last 6 weeks or so. So,
Junior, can you talk
thank
about
you,
the
thank you.
importance of the Godolphins through this entire relationship?
Once again, if I have to go back to where everything for me picked up from where I was, it meant the world to me, which I'm pretty sure it meant the world for the, Mr. and Mrs. Dorman. You just have turned my career, 360. Like I say, I was probably like in a low in my career, and I wasn't thinking to move I wasn't thinking to move forward. I was just kind of setting back and moving probably backward at that point. I didn't really care where I was in my profession, and like I say, just to have the opportunity from Godolphin, and then it's not even that, then after that, they keep letting me ride every single horses for Mr. Moore for Godolphin. It just keep building my confidence back up again, and like I say, everything just keep rolling on after that. Just I have been, and I never there never goes a moment and a time when I wouldn't race, and when Mr. Michael Banahan, and then prior there, that I don't let them know how appreciate it for the every single opportunity. Is not a specific horse, but for every single opportunity, it means the world to me, and I always let them know that, and it just they big part of my success again.
Paul, why don't you go ahead and close out our interview with these special people?
Who's the special people? Oh, Junior, right? Good. Oh, and Leslie. Leslie is also special. Leslie has a birthday coming up next week, but don't ask
happy
her how
birthday,
old
Leslie.
she is.
You.
No, I just yeah, we should let Leslie talk, because someone kind of dominates the mic when it gets put in front of them.
It's all good, Paul. It's all
No.
good.
No, it's just to have a front row seat. And I will say, though, Kelly and Howard and Junior, I was yelling pretty loud when they were coming down the stretch in the Derby at 8-1. I will just say that. My daughter Martha, who's in the other room, is still trying to figure out what was going on. And no, it's just, again, to live through this, and I'm glad you mentioned the Godolphin people. No, there was the brains of the operation with a cameo appearance in the background.
Yes.
The
There
great
she
Kelly
is.
Alvarado.
And there's Kylie too.
Oh, and Kylie. Hi,
Oh.
Kylie.
Hey, Kylie.
Hello, Kylie.
Yeah, just some things are meant to be, and I just I know that Junior talked about it. Wherever he was is not important right now. I can't imagine there's a more confident jockey getting into the irons in America, and it looks like we might have a chance to see this horse back in Saratoga in July, Junior. If Mr. Mott is talking Jim Dandy and Travers, and one at a time, I know, but it could be an exciting year on this horse, and maybe it'll even go into next year.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Like you say, I think Jim Dandy right now could be in the radar. I know the main goal is the Traverse right now for the summer, but it could be the Jim Dandy tour, and then after that probably like the classic is the next one. But yeah, we'll take race by race. We'll see what Mr. Mott wants to do, and like I say, I gotta keep riding the horse right now, and I'm like I say, I'm living in cloud nine right now. To be honest, it's just been something like I say, like I always dream of. But at some point, I thought that was actually kind of like was never gonna happen. I thought it was fading away, and some point in my life, and just to all of a sudden kind of revive all that, and then all of a sudden it was right there and it's happening. It's just like I said, it's just unbelievable. It's something
Oh.
I can't even like really. It's just amazing.
Maybe we can get these folks up for the Travers, Junior. What do you think? Be a good idea for them to come up for the Travers?
Good idea. That would be absolutely an amazing idea. That'd be great.
I think we know some people that can make that happen.
That-
Junior Alvarado, Leslie Dorman, Kelly Dorman. It's been an unbelievable pleasure, and Paul's best birthday gift by far to have all of you on our podcast tonight. God bless you all. Thanks for coming on, Junior. I can't wait to get you back on for your next big victory, no matter who it's with. We're big fans here of the HHH Racing Podcast, of you and your family. And, of course, Kelly and Leslie, thanks for coming on as well to give your good wishes. And we can't wait to see Cody's babies on the track, probably a year from now, I suppose. Is that right, Kelly and Leslie?
Yeah. He's having a pretty successful post career.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. One thing real quick, Junior, I know in the past, and I don't want to get off track too much from horse racing, but you and I have talked about fishing a little bit, in the past. And I want you to know for like 35 years, I've used this bait, and it's a Hildebrand spinner.
Wow.
So
Wow.
a lot of people know my secrets of my trade. Now, I don't know horse racing as well as these guys you're talking to, but two things I do know is spinner baits and ice cream. So I figured I'd trade you one for a bowl of ice cream.
Well, we have to get you here to Saratoga, and then ice cream will be on the house for sure.
Paul, sounds like a sponsorship deal for the HHH Racing Podcast is coming soon. Junior, Kelly, and Leslie, thanks so much, guys, for joining the show tonight. We love you. Hope to see you guys soon in person and on the podcast again. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Junior.
Have a
guys.
great night.
Folks.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. All right, there you go. Junior Alvarado, Kelly Dorman, Leslie Dorman, Kylie Dorman, the whole group. Fishing bait. Thanks, Paul, for help saying that, by the way. That was special, Paul. That was really special.
It really was. Yeah, it was pretty good. It worked. Sometimes things go according to plan. Technical difficulties notwithstanding. So
yeah, well, it's okay. It's live. They figured it out. So might have had a low battery or whatever. Let's go ahead and keep the show rolling because hey, we're not stopping. We're gonna do obviously a little bit of a shorter version of our handicapping of Monmouth Park this Saturday with the Haskell Preview Day with our good friend and co-host from the East Coast of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco. Pretty special there, Pete. How you doing tonight?
What's going on, everybody? Happy birthday, Paul.
hey, Pete, thank you.
I missed the celebration at the beginning, but I see you're still hanging in there.
I'm still awake, Pete. Pete, I did get to see Nick Saturday.
He told me. I told him to make sure he
Stop
hopefully
Yeah.
Hopefully he bought you a beer. Did he buy any booze?
Pete, you know what? Honestly, if I had the time to sit down and drink one, I would love to have. They had an open seat. He invited me to sit with them all day. It was, and I'm not complaining because I love it, but I did 10 stories in 4 days.
Busy man.
Saturday was on the beat of, off the turf and weather and non-racing stuff, which is someone's got to do. But anyway, I stopped by the table a couple of times.
That's awesome.
They had a great spot right in the front row of the porch, right closest to the track, and they were doing well.
Fantastic. Speaking of, real quick, in the 6th race on the card we're talking about, his horse, Optical Bijou, is running 9-2.
Wow.
I just noticed in trying to get his first official win. He has a win, but it was a DQ up. So they haven't seen him pass the finish line first.
Well, Nick, if you're watching, good luck, man. Let's get that one across the finish line.
Let's get this one home. I keep telling him he owes me and my friend Mike, who you guys met. I was like, he owns us a percentage at this point, as much money as we've been losing on the horse. But hopefully we can get the win on Saturday.
Yeah, I've lost a few of horses I've owned, but I had a good win actually in Monmouth last Saturday. The horse named Twirling Beauty for Adelphi Racing, who was really good. Won 110 flat, 6 furlong race.
Nice.
So we're really excited about Twirling Beauty. Guys, let's get on to the late pick 5, obviously, because we do have great race plays on tonight live, 9:30 Eastern for the Santa Anita Sunday late pick 4, which is our last great race plays of the winter/spring here. So guys, we're going to go relatively quickly, ladies and gentlemen, through our picks. The first race of the late pick 5 on Saturday at Monmouth for Haskell Preview Day is the Never Bets Pegasus. This is the local prep for the Haskell. As of now, it's a field of 8. There are a lot of cross entries, ladies and gentlemen, between Monmouth and Delaware, so please be aware of that. The Power Picks tip sheet, I'll do the best I can to reflect that, but we don't know. Some of these horses might be going to Delaware throughout the sequence. We're not sure yet. The morning line favorite is the number 3, Garamond, for Flavian and Chad Brown. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. I'm going 4-3-7. Paul's going 5-3-4. And Pete is chalking out with the favorite. He's going 3-7-4. Mr. Birthday Boy, Paul, you're listed first. Well, actually after myself, but before Pete, because, hey, he turned 95 today, Pete. So we don't know how many years he has left of the podcast. So
I mean, we gotta let him talk as much as possible, man.
That's
it could
right.
be the end soon.
No,
Paul,
I gotta save the breath, Pete.
Bracket Buster, Paul, going for an upset.
Well, I thought I was at the Lexington. I thought this horse ran a good winning race, virtually a winning race against a horse that turned out to be pretty darn good when we all watched the Preakness. I'm just going to hope that this was a one-off, off-track. I'm hoping the last race just didn't like the slop. Not really bred for it, so that could be. And I think if you do take that out, if he were coming into this race off the Lexington, I think he's maybe looks a lot better. So that's what I mean. Obviously, the Chad ships to Monmouth with a vengeance, and it looks like he's got a lot of potential wins on Saturday just in the sequence. And this horse coming off a 98 would be very tough. But we don't know if as a 3-year-old, if Garamond is going to advance off that 98 or, maybe come back to the field a little. And I think if Bracket Buster can advance off the 84 and gets into the 90s, might have a puncher's chance, more than a puncher's chance relative to the price.
I think he'd be best sitting off because I think there is, if he can. When I say sitting off, I just don't mean pressing. I mean like a length or two off, because it looks like to me there's a decent amount of speed. But Pete, you're going to go with Garamond anyway. I almost put him on top. I thought he was really impressive. I know it's a 3-horse field, but he beat Cornucopian. He did it really well. I don't know if this horse that can relax and settle. I'm assuming Flavian's just going to send very hard and take his chances.
Yeah, you would assume. I mean, I guess Pratt's not the type to gun it if there's other speed out there with him necessarily, but you figure that's probably this horse's best chance. I mean, on paper, everything looks great. You see the improvement race to race. I mean, from a buyer figure, from a time form figure, just from performance. The only thing that sort of gives you pause, a couple things. Well, obviously, that last race was a 3-horse field, so you never know what really to take out of those. I mean, they just tend to be sort of weird, and somebody gets on the lead and tend to go away. And I mean, he held off though. I mean, he holds off the 1-9 superstar Cornucopian. So I mean, if you do that, right, then you could do anything.
Quote marks.
You couldn't see them. I'm not on the screen, but yes, yeah. But still, it's still a nice to see him pull away like that. So you figure if he can get a trip like that again, and like you said, Chad is just a monster at Monmouth. So there's a lot going for him. And your 5, Paul, I know, Howard, you like to look at this. The 5's race against Gosker actually came up with a better time form figure than Garamond had last out. So again, we look at the buyers and it looks like Bracket Buster has a lot of work to do to catch up. But if you look at time form, he's actually a little more on the level with him.
It's interesting. Garamond's got to get 2 turns. I think there are some questions to answer, and he's definitely going to be the favorite. I think he's going to be 6-5, guys. I don't think we're getting that 8-5, but there's some questions to answer. I don't love my selection, to be very honest, guys. I'll just be forthright here, but I'm going to go with one of the closers. To me, it's either Valentinian, the 4, or the number 7, Just a Fair Shake. And I'm just going to hope that the number 4 Valentinian for Pletcher and Eclipse Thoroughbreds can just improve. I think he needs to improve. I'm not sure who's going to be riding. I just have a feeling this race can collapse and he just might get a great setup. And if I have to choose between Pletcher and Eclipse and the 7, nothing against Just a Fair Shake, who actually the numbers are slightly better according to time form, but not much. I'm just going to go ahead with Valentinian, although I'm very curious to see if he goes here and who rides him, etc. Guys, I think it's fair to say, I think we'd all agree, none of these horses have any chance in hell, with all due respect, of winning the Haskell at this moment. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Haskell
Unless somebody
is
does
gonna be
something
good.
crazy.
Right.
Haskell's going to be damn good.
Very
By
good.
the way, Howard, the
Yes.
And I know who's going to win it, but we'll talk about it before the
All right.
show.
your horse though, the 4 has all 3 races on Lasix and is coming off, but Pletcher
Fair
has
enough.
been awesome. He's been 38% in non-graded stakes on the dirt over like the past year or so, winning, and then 77% in the money. So his horses have been running great coming off Lasix, which is a good thing.
Interesting.
And Garamond, just for last point, Garamond only loss was without Lasix, and obviously doesn't have it here. Don't know if that had any effect, but we always
Sure.
like to point it out.
It could absolutely matter for sure. The second leg of the sequence is race 9. It is the Monmouth Stakes. This is a preview or a prep for the United Nations turf race, which I think, I'm not sure if it's a mile quarter or not this year. I didn't actually look at the distance this year, but it's $150,000 is the purse. It's a field of 8. Good luck to Crownsway Racing and number 6 Otago, who won last time impressively at a price. Otago, the number 6, is 6-1. Moorline favorite is a pretty heavy favorite. The number 3 redistricting for Chad and Flavie. And again, I'm going 3-7-6. Paul's going 3-1-6. Pete's going 3-1-7. Paul, we're not messing around here. We're just going to go with redistricting, who is going to be, again, probably 4-5 and not 7-5.
Yeah, I'm okay taking a shot against Chad in a dirt route in the previous race. I'm not that anxious to take a shot against him in this turf route with Mr. Pratt up. And, that race was pretty good. Now, Spirit of St. Louis came back and didn't run all that well, but it was in the Manhattan. So, which arguably was a better field than this. That Turf Classic turned out to be okay. This horse was, he was right there. You can read the PPs. You don't need me, just right with the lead at the top of the stretch, and just didn't have it. That was an off turf. If that made any difference, that turf was good. And I think you talked about this, Howard. It might have been on the yielding side of good, just because of they got a lot of rain that day. So I'm not going to try to take a shot against this one. I don't think this is a very tough field at all. The one's kind of an X factor because of the long layoff. I don't know what you had, Pete. I looked up Delgado. I put in 400 to 600 days because he's off. It's like 469. 0 for 5. Very small sample. And of course, I have to put the Crownsway horse third to get him on the picks, as you did, Howard.
Look, the King's Max, I was a fan of this horse. I just don't know where he's been. I don't like this layoff really. But I guess if he runs his best race, he's definitely capable here. I really have nothing to add to redistricting at all. I think you covered it, Paul, very well. Again, there's Otago who won the cliffhanger, but against this field, it's going to have to improve. I thought Signator, who I have in second, guys, got a little bit of a weird trip. First of all, I think the number 7, 8-1. First of all, I think he wants to go longer than mile and 16th. And number 2, he sort of rushed up the inside. I guess I don't blame the jockey if there was a hole there, but he rushed up the inside on the back stretch, and it was a slow pace. I just don't think that's the kind of trip Signator wants. He's a big son of Tappet out of Seeking the Gold mare, and I just think he wants to be on the outside closing, ideally into a fast pace. I don't think he's going to get it, guys, but I think he's a very likely finisher for second here, and I'm just going to play a big exact in this race, 3-7, and try to get maybe 8-1 out of it. I just think he's much better than he showed there, but truthfully, I don't think he has a chance to win this race, all things being equal. Pete, do you want to add to any of that?
No, I'm with you on Signator, though. I really like that horse, and my hope was sort of what you said, and that maybe he just didn't like the cut in the ground a little bit last time. So if we get a firmer turf, but I mean, he was progressing pretty nicely, and if you can get that price to hook up with the favorite, redistricting is just one of those horses I don't really like, but it's just hard to pick against him in this field. I always feel like he's a little overrated or a little bet too much, but this field, it was just tough to come up with someone. Maybe if the one had a more recent race and looked good doing it. I don't know. It's a tough one.
So you guys know me. I love to be a favorite. I agree with both of you. I don't quite see it in that race, but we'll see. Race 10 is the Salvador Mile. It's a grade 3 on the dirt. 150,000 is the purse. You see, there's some jockeys that we don't know yet because, again, the cross entries and a few other things. It's a field of 9. Another big heavy favorite, the number 9, Bishop's Bay for Cox and Pratt. Flavian could have a big day. This I'm going to try to beat. I'm going to try to beat Bishop's Bay. I'm going 6.95. Paul and Pete are both going to go with the favorite. Paul's going 9.42 and Pete's going 9.43. You guys are very much simpatico here with Bishop's Bay over Awfully Cool. Paul, go ahead with your analysis of this race.
Yeah, I understand trying to beat him. This is kind of, we all have our pet horses. I use this horse on top all the time, and I didn't really think this was the race to not do that. But, I see the argument of the price. The post that the start line is pretty close to the turn at Monmouth, so
Yeah.
Post could be an issue. But we're right back to Flavien. I just think that this horse is in form. This horse has never really run a bad race. They moved him up fast. They put him in the Peter Pan in only his third start, and look at ahead behind Arcangelo, who goes on to win the Belmont.
Yeah.
Goes out. He got beat by 2 fills out in Ohio, but only ran once last year, so I'm not sure what happened there. But since he's come back this year, lose by a head off the long layoff, that's excusable, and 3 straight wins. I just think form-wise and class-wise, he is probably a cut above. I mean, Tuscan Sky, there'll be some talk about. I see Howard, neither you nor I even used him.
I divorced him.
I think he's going to take some money.
He might. I'm on full divorce. He's going to upset the field now Saturday for sure. But yeah, I can't. I've had enough of Tuscan Sky. I just so many times you can chase a horse and have them lose. You got Awfully Cool, who's in very good form from Parks. Can he transition his form over to Monmouth? That's the question.
Well, Pete picked him second too.
Yep.
Yeah,
I feel good about that. I feel good about that.
What'd you think, Paul? My thought was, I think he needs to move forward. He's sort of leveled out at this point, so I don't know if there's a big move forward in there. But again, I think the form is just really good, and a couple of the other horses in here, like Tuscan Sky, I think you could put Knox again. So if this one just stays in form and sort of runs his normal race, I think it at least puts him in the mix. I think it'll be tough to beat Bishop's Bay, but I kind of like this as actually my best bet, not to spoil it, is sort of a Dutch Exacta, I think, here maybe, or I can't remember if that's the one I put on there, but I just kind of like it where if you can get this horse at a little bit of a price, his form tells you at least he'll be there. He'll run his race. Whether it's good enough, we're not sure.
Jeffrey, I don't know if you saw that, guys. Apparently,
that was good.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
No, that was good. Bring it. Yeah, add this to the list of stupid horse racing things that we're now into the trillions. But, when I started handicapping this card, as I'm sure you gentlemen did, every once in a while you see that famous rider, famous jockey, Norrider, no rider. But now in this card, Pete, it's like every other freaking, it's just annoying.
It's unbelievable.
It's just annoying. But anyway, Pete, my feeling, to pick up on what you said, it looks like we can pretty much be sure that this 4 is going to run like a low 90s buyer.
I mean, exactly, right?
I think that puts him. I honestly think that puts him on the board. That was my reasoning for putting him in.
Me too.
I have absolutely no argument. He's a very honest, good horse. So he's won over 300,000. We'd all love to own him. Guys, this is a situation where I'm looking for a fresh face. And look, I mean, Bishop's Bay is obviously the horse to beat, but there's 2 things that I would like to have a slight question about. One is the outside post he could be wide that first turn. You don't know. And number 2, he's been involved in very slow paces. And I don't think it's going to be that soft a pace. Now, the time form, I don't believe had it quick, but let's look at it again. Yeah, they have the 9 sitting right off the 7. Now, if the 9 just sits off the 7 in a slow pace, the race is probably over. But guys, I like a lot from what I saw with Vitality, the number 6 at 10-1. This is a newly turned 4-year-old. Sound familiar, guys? We've talked about this a lot. Who was racing at Woodbine on synthetic and was even in the King's Plate and then completely turned his career around, so to speak, when switched to dirt and was running high 80 buyers last year. And then last time at Gulfstream, I know it's obviously a much weaker field, he had an 89 buyer, but I got to tell you what, guys, he won this very, very easily. I mean, the jock was just sitting and waiting the whole time and didn't even ask. He was also wide. He's 4 wide here, guys, in the black. Again, this is an easier field, obviously. But the jock is not even asking right here, guys. If you look at his hands, not asking at all, lost a lot of ground. And when he actually asked him to run, look how he's like in the 8 path. I mean, the jockey's like, fine, go. When he finally asked him to run, I thought he really took off well, guys. And again, Gulfstream is not a place where you can close very well. See sovereignty in the dictionary. So I know he's got to step up a lot. I don't think he's going to beat Bishop's Bay necessarily, but I wanted to go with a fresh face with a horse that I think's got upside. He's only 4 years old, and I went with Vitality. This is a Stronach, or say knows. He just not claimed him. They switched trainers, and all of a sudden he runs a big race. And I like the spacing. The distance is not a problem. This is my alternative to second, and maybe, as you can see on the screen, maybe if things fall my way, upset the field and beat Bishop's Bay. Although, to be honest, I doubt that will happen. But I was just going to throw in a price. I mean, how many chalks can you guys take in the sequence unless you want to play a $20 straight pick 5 and try to hit 40 times? Race 11. Let's go to that right now. This is the penultimate race of the sequence. It's the Eatontown. It is a grade 3. It is a mile and a 16th, 150,000 for the older fillies and mares. Another big Moorline favorite in the number 1, Maggie Go. For guess who? Chad and some guy named Flavian Pratt, who just, again, is on every big live mount, and it might just have a monstrous day. But I'm going to try to beat this one too. I'm going 217. Paul's also going to try to beat him 716 or beat her. And Pete is going to chalk out 137. Whiskey Decision, the other Chad. Sound familiar, Pete and Paul? The other Chad? That's who you're going to go with, Paul, the number 7.
Yeah, well, I think if we could ever keep track of the ROI, Pete, on the other Chad and the other Chad, it'd probably be like about $4, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting switch from Arnaud Delacour to Chad.
Yeah.
I think this horse is pretty good. Now, having said that, has not run like it the last 3, so I'm peeing into the wind there. But this horse did run well early in her career. Obviously, and nothing against Delacour is very good, but we're not going to be upset about. I mean, Chad being willing to take the horse, I think, is a good sign above anything else. I think this horse could get a trip. Camacho is kind of Chad's guy down in Tampa, I believe,
yes.
Right? He rides a lot from down there, so he's familiar with him. And when he gets an opportunity on a Chad, he's going to ride like it's a combination of the Derby and the Classic. Obviously, this Chad's other horse is going to be very tough. You gotta try to hope maybe the Argentine form doesn't hold up that well. But I thought Whiskey Decision at 4-1 was a reasonable alternative.
Yeah, it sounds like my Vitality pick in the previous race. So a fresh faced 4-year-old trying to upset the field. Pete, you're going to chalk out here. And look, if it weren't so many chalks in the sequence, I was going to pick Maggie Go 8-5. This is a fascinating Argentine bred who is first time Chad. Obviously, Chad's had her for a while and picks this spot. Michael Dubb, by the way, the ownership. She was involved in high class group races in Argentina, which of course is a step below our races. You can see all you see is graded stakes, 5 for 5 in the money, including a Group 2 win and a Group 1 second place finish. And actually, I watched that race, believe it or not. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, I'm just trying to go for 5 for 5 with chalks and Pratt. So that's I'm trying to do something new this time. So, like you said, I'll probably have to play it $100 all singles at the rate I'm going. And this is one, I think you're right. I think you guys are right in the sense that this is at least one to maybe take a shot against, because the Argentinian form doesn't always translate when it comes over. Now you have a little more confidence because it's Chad and it's Pratt and the ownership group, but still, we're still bringing a horse over that you don't know what she's been running against, and you don't know how she's going to take to it here. She's got a nice steady work pattern. Obviously, she's probably, like you said, she's probably been here for a while. Pratt and Chad, 4 for 7 wins, 6 for 7 on the money, greatest stakes on turf at Monmouth. So they're pretty successful when they team up here, even in a small sample size. And the horse can finish. And I didn't really like a lot of the other horses finishing, but there's also not expected to be much pace. So we'll see if the horse is a little too far back, maybe finishes well, but doesn't get there. But at least on paper and by connections and just based on the other horses, I just didn't love any of them to take her down.
They don't have the one in here, ladies and gentlemen, because the one's been racing in Argentina, not because the one is so slow early that she's not even on the chart. So that's usually the case with these shippers, these imports. A few quick things for everyone about Maggie Go that I know as of right now, live here Thursday night. First of all, I watched the last race at San Isidro, which was the Group 1 for restricted 3-year-old fillies. It says juveniles, but that's what they call it in South America. The winner, Kita Rim, I don't know where she is right now, guys. Wow. I mean, visually, she was super duper impressive. Completely blew by Maggie Go. And I'm not saying it's a negative to Maggie Go. I'm just simply saying I think that race was a pretty live race. Although, what's interesting, guys, is she was 8-1, 7-1, 4-1, 11-1, or almost 12-1. Here's my thinking in general. This is probably the horse to beat. She could be very good. Guys, I am very convinced that she's not a monster, because if she was a monster, she would have been in the Jenny Wiley. She would have raced in New York. So I'm not saying she's not a nice horse, but Chad is not a dummy. I think he knows what he's got here under the hood. And my gut feel, guy, is this is just a race for Chad to see like where she's at, meaning the horse. And so when I have all those kind of, we're not sure, I'm going to go somewhere else. And the one that I'm going with is very logical. Also, the number 2, 5 Towns, who is projected to be up closer into a slow pace. Graham Motion does a great job everywhere. Ruiz knows the horse. I didn't love the ride last time at Churchill. We know Churchill could be a little bit of a funky track. And she just seems very logical to me to maybe upset Chad. I don't have anything clever. I've got your 7, Paul, in third here. My gut feeling, guys, is Maggie Go was all that in a slice of cheese. She wouldn't be in a grade 3 $150,000 stake in Monmouth. She'd be somewhere better. That being said, she might be 3 or 4 lengths better in this field anyway. We just don't know, guys. But when there's so many unknowns, Pete, I just feel like that's the kind of horse you want to try to beat. Again, I could be very wrong.
No, I agree with you. I wouldn't look at this as like a single. If I was going to single, it probably wouldn't be this one. Again, I just didn't love the other horses. Even your horse, I'm sort of looking at 5 Towns and Motion. Excuse me, apologies. Motion hasn't been great in stakes races on the turf at Monmouth. So again, I was nitpicking, trying to figure out which one I wanted to beat her with, and I just couldn't make a strong enough case, which that's what I was going for. But I agree with you. I think she's one that it's worth taking a shot against. You have to beat one of these favorites, and I think this one may be the best one to do it.
The final race is race 12. It's the Lady's Secret. I know Gunsong, the number 2, is cross-entered.
Gunsong is out. Gunsong
and Into Amore, the number 4, also cross-entered at Delaware. So who knows what this?
No, they're out. They're out. They're going to Delaware. I saw on.
Are they?
I forget who posted it. Somebody from DRF posted it. So
both of them.
Gunsong and Into Amore. It said.
Interesting. So. Okay. Well, if that's true, then that's a field of 5, and that makes the number 1 Occult. I mean, again, a very low favorite. We'll see. Occult is, again, this is the Lady's Secrets, 100,000 for older fillies and mares on the dirt. Occult's 2-1 for Chad and Flavian. Again, I didn't know that information. I have the banners up about them.
It was Matt Dinnerman, by the way, and he said he's hearing.
He would know.
He's hearing both of them are running at Delaware, so it wasn't definitive, but it sounds, at least it's something to consider.
Okay. Well, I'm going 1-2-7. Paul's going 3-1-7. Pete, you're going 7-1-3. So none of us like Into Amore anyway. The 4. Let's go to you, Paul. You're going to go with Catherine Wheel. Again, the other Chad, but this is in a dirt race for Marin.
Yeah, this horse is always around, right? You know, a cult looks really good on paper, but I don't know. Doesn't she find a way not to get it done? Now, look, Scylla, Idiomatic, Tarifa, Gin, Candied. I get it. Okay, much better horses. Buyers have gone down the last 3. Again, you want to play all 5 favorites and bet a $40 ticket. That's fine. I'm going to pick my spots. I'll probably try to beat the wrong ones. This might be one of them, but I thought the 3 is a legitimate shot. Ran well in Serena's song, which I suspect is kind of a prep for this. Is okay. That was the only start at Monmouth. Again, is always around second to Gunsong when Gunsong was pretty good. Again, in the interest of trying to not have the favorite every race, I think this is a reasonable alternative. If she's 3-1, 7-2, 4-1, I think it's worth trying to beat a cult who's probably going to be under 2-1.
I like horses second time going 2 turns, and that's the case for Catherine Wheel. I always felt it was more of a 1 turn, but actually, as you said, ran well going 2 turns, although it was a perfect trip just sitting outside the favorite. So, or sitting outside the leader. I just want to make that fact. But she cost $725. So they're trying to turn her into a 2-turn horse. Pete, you're going to go to number 7, Majestic Oops, at 9-2 for Dan Ward, who has 6 firsts and 10 seconds and 28 lifetime starts and is improving as a 5-year-old here, has nice spacing, has some local works. I think she's interesting. I've got her 3rd in the mix here.
Yeah, that was a weird one because you don't see one of the notes I had was seems to be getting better and not even, I mean, she's not old, she's only 5, but you see there's 28 races. After that many, you tend to not see such improvement, but I don't know. She seems to just be, I don't know what it is. She seems to be coming into herself a little bit. Maybe she really took to Oak Lawn eventually, or maybe she was just beat. I mean, she beat Who's Your Filly, Lemon Muffin. They're not exactly world beaters, but they're horses, they're horses we've seen in stakes races. So at least she's not beating bums there. And I just thought she's run well off of Lasix, which again, in some of these stakes races is a concern. I just think she's trending in the right direction. And I agree with Paul so this is the only Pratt favorite I didn't pick. So basically, a cult is a lock to win this race because that was the only one that I went against. But I look at her and think she's beatable. So I think if you think she's beatable, I think you can make the case for at least a few of the other ones to do it.
This is we'll talk about the sequence here after I talk about a cult. And, we're trading off going with horses. Like, I get it, Paul. I think your point is very well taken that she's not exactly a win machine. I mean, she's 3 for 14, but boy, I mean, the horses she's been facing are just much better. Now, the Tizzy in the Sky, the Go for Juan was pretty disappointing. I singled her that day, and she just didn't break great and was like too far back. But this is a 2-turn horse. Last time in Double Dog Dare, she wasn't great. I mean, there's no question about it. But Jin came back to run well. The 3rd place finisher, Candide, ran well. And that was her first start, guys, off the layoff. So she's the horse to beat. I don't want to. I'm not going to blab on about what's obvious. She's the horse to beat. I just think she's the class of the field, and she's going to save ground and get a great trip here, guys. And I just think she's very logical. I guess actually, we don't really have time to talk about it as a group, so I'll move on from what I was going to say to you guys. But those of you at home listening and watching, you got a decision to make. You can either play a lot of favorites and press up. You can skip the sequence. I mean, I totally understand that too. But I do think there are some low prices that are worth taking on. And as you guys know, if you can beat, let's say, 2 of the 5, you're really going to get paid. If you want them, you can still get paid a little bit. And you can press up, and you don't have to play that big a ticket. So, again, to each their own. Do what you got to do, everyone. Let me go ahead and show my best bets. And then if Paul has a ranch we will go to that. Paul, here's your best bet. You're going to race 8. You're playing a pick 3, 5 with 1, 4 with 9. So you're going to take a chance and single Bracket Buster. I like that. And then you're also going to single Bishop's Bay. Am I correct about that?
Yes. Yeah. I think Bracket Buster at the beginning, if you can beat that other favorite, might be okay. And, Bishop's Bay will be a favorite on the end. So yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
And Pete in race 10 is going to do an exacta Dutch. He's going to play a bigger exacta, Bishop's Bay over Awfully Cool, and play a smaller one, Awfully Cool over Bishop's Bay. Obviously, because they're going to pay the same amount, because the 4-9 is going to pay 4 times more than the 9-4, I would say. And then in race 11, that's the Maggie Go race. You're going to play a double, Maggie Go and the 3.
The 3 is Ozara. Yeah, I don't think
Ozara,
we really talked about
for
Ozara.
Miguel, for newly grade 1 winning trainer.
Yes.
Miguel Clement. Boy, do I like saying that. And then you're going to single the 7 on the end, which is
that was that Majestic Oops.
Oops.
Again, you're trying to play in 2 lower price horses, but hopefully if we can beat, I assume that one horse in the last one, Occult, is probably going to be pretty low. So if we can beat her to back up the double, maybe we could pay a little bit.
Well, now that I thought about it, with those 2 scratches, Pete, is that the race with their scratches, or am I confusing myself? No, I am. No, I'm not confusing myself. So that's only a 5-horse field potentially. So Majestic Oops won't be as wide, which also helps her. So
yes,
you're 7. So maybe that'll be. I'm gonna have to reconsider that. I'm gonna go with a $5 pick 3. No, not sort of an honor. I'll tip my cap to the Great Race Place, even though you can play probably 50 cents or $1 the pick 3 in Monmouth. I'm gonna go a $5 pick 3. I'm gonna go 5, 6, 9 with 1, 2 with 1, 2. Although the 2 in the last race now apparently is out, so I'd switch that to the 7, ladies and gentlemen. So if Gunsong is out, who I believe is the 2 in that race, correct? I would go 5, 6, 9 with 1, 2 with 1, 7 for a relatively expensive ticket, but I would have for $5, and I think that would pay just fine. Guys, great show. I'm with the show. Paul, is there anything you want to say here at the end regarding the interview, or rant, or just any thoughts on your birthday suggestions?
I'm a lot wiser. I'm a lot wiser,
one.
Pete. No, I thought that was great. I was going to bring it up. We ran out of time, but confidence is such a big part of what these jockeys do. And I mentioned it at the end when Junior was on. It's funny. He told me that one of the reasons he was so frustrated when he wasn't getting mounts that he thought he would, and I've actually used this in the book. He said, I really believe in stakes races, especially. He said, I have to be one of the top 5 jockeys. I don't make mistakes in stakes races. Now, go back and watch the 2 Cody's Wish Breeders' Cups. Go back and watch the Derby. Go back and watch. He had a good trip in this race. I get it. But, he just has not made a wrong move. And I just couldn't be happier about the whole thing. And it's not, yes, I'm betting the horse. Yes, I'm winning, but especially Belmont Day, at 5-2, we're not retiring on 5-2, but it was just great to be there and say, I spent a lot of time with his wife, Kelly, at the press conference. And, that's a family operation. And, it's good to see the good guys win.
Absolutely. It was a professional ride you can say, well, the horse is awesome. Well, the horse put him in that spot. He's got to pull the trigger at the right time. As we've seen this Triple Crown season, well, that doesn't always occur based on circumstances. So congratulations again to Junior Alvarado on an unbelievable ride with Sovereignty in the Belmont, and of course the Derby. And also thanks again to the Dormants for coming on. We really do appreciate it. For my good friends and co-hosts, Paul Halloran, the birthday boy, and Pete Visco, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 413 of Picks and Ponies. Don't go anywhere here on Thursday night. Great race plays coming up in about 20 minutes, Sunday, late pick 4 at Santa Anita. Crush your bets on Saturday at Monmouth for Haskell Preview Day. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
This is a big minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.